Okay, so word of advice, in the future, if you whistle 4 notes while holding the number 3 with your fingers, you're probably gonna get beat. You know, actually, probably shot. Catching Fire. So Catching Fire is the sequel to The Hunger Games. It's the second installment of the Hunger Games trilogy, which is not really a movie trilogy, because they're splitting the third movie up into 2 movies, you know, for financial reasons. It's just something you gotta do. All the movies are splitting their movies into 2 parts. You know, we have, you know, Harry Potter and Twilight and, you know, The Hobbit, splitting it up into 3. So where we left off in the Hunger Games was Katniss and Peeta told the evil, not-so-galactic Empire, screw you. And the Emperor is like, Katniss is such a pain in my wrinkly ballsack, why don't we just kill her? But Philip Seymour Hoffman, let's turn her into one of us in the eyes of the people, and then we'll kill her. And now Katniss has to go back into the Hunger Games, except now it's with winners of previous Hunger Games, so it's supposed to be a bigger challenge for her than it was in the previous movie. And at the beginning of this movie, I was into it, but it eventually got to the point where it's like an hour into the movie and they still haven't entered the Hunger Games, and I was kind of like iffy as to if I liked where it was going. And at this point, it's not about the Hunger Games, it's not about the tournament, it's about the bigger picture kind of crap that you have going on. And the Hunger Games itself is a tool to tell a bigger story. And that bigger story is revolution. The movie's not about the action, it's not about the killing, it's about the revolution. And I like that bigger picture because in this one, you get a better feeling of it than you did in the first movie. And one of the characters that I really didn't think I'd like at the beginning, but actually turned out really liking him, was Finnick. I saw pictures of him and I'm like, that's going to be your average, ordinary douchebag, but he actually turned out being probably the most likable character in this movie, apart from Katniss. And I will tell you that this movie was better than the first one, but the biggest deal, the biggest thing that got me, there's no more shaky cam, guys. Yeah, in the first one, it was just like, you know, shaking, you can't tell what's going on, it's like it's crazy, and they wanted to do that so they could fit more blood and more, you know, violence into a PG-13 movie. But in this one, they didn't have any shaky cam, and I loved that. I made it so much better in the first one. You can easily tell it was a different director, and that's what really brought this movie up from the first one. And a complaint I've heard from several people is that the Hunger Games part is only like half of the movie. The first half is like the building up, and I like that bigger picture, that revolution stuff, like the fact that Katniss can just do one act of defiance and it can lead to this, the domino effect. It's kind of like that scene in Viva for Vendetta. You all saw that where he's got all the dominoes and he flicks it and it's like all splitting apart like that. This is how this movie went. And in the first one, what they did was they didn't really want her to die. You know, they'd send fireballs and dogs, and they were hurting the game just to have her get to the point where she needs to go. But no, it's not the same in this one. In this one, they're like, yeah, we just need her to die. And after this movie, you think, my God, okay, it worked as it was going, but this movie had so many conveniences, my God. There are just so many conveniences in this movie, you're like, wow, that worked out so perfectly because of this, and if that wasn't there, it wouldn't have worked out and we wouldn't have had what we had. And it's just, there were more conveniences in this movie than there were in The Dark Knight Rises. And it's not really that big of a deal because The Dark Knight Rises was my #1 movie of 2012, and it had like 452 conveniences in it. But this one, it was like, it overdid it with these conveniences, and it did bring the movie down a bit, but I still liked it, and I still really like this movie. So, certainly a step up from the first movie. I'm gonna say Catching Fire was worth buying on Blu-ray. So, Catching Fire, have you seen it, have you not? Did you like it or Hunger Games better? Comment below and let me know. And if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.